Hello everyone and welcome to At a Glance. This is your host, the Pixel Pirate, delivering previews of the latest and greatest games from the Gamesphere. Today we are taking a look at a game called Banished. Banished is a city building survival strategy game developed by Shining Rock Software. So let's see what the game is all about. As you can see, when you start a new game, you can choose a town name and a seed, most interestingly. That means you can actually share the seed and have other people play the same map as you and see how they went versus how you went. Or if you just want to play another map over again, you can by collecting that seed number and writing it down. You can also generate a random one if you so desire. You can also choose a terrain type, of course, valleys and mountains there. You got a terrain size, so the map size, more small, of course, medium and large. And then you got climate, mild, fair, and harsh. So, for example, in a harsh climate, you might not have as much wildlife as you would normally. We'll go with fair, of course. You got disasters. You can have anything from tornadoes to a fire throughout your village. So things can certainly go wrong if you wanted to. And of course, starting conditions. So the difficulty of the game at the start. You, of course, start with a certain amount of stuff in your, inventory, for lack of a better term. And you can have a lot of it or not much. So we'll go with medium and start our new game. All right, so here we are. I have got the game paused currently. You can see the map. It's it looks spectacular, really, isn't it? Even close up or far away, it looks absolutely amazing. The graphical fidelity of the game is really cool for a strategy game indeed. You can see, of course, because we chose a large terrain type, it is quite big indeed. You won't be using 100% of the map. In fact, you'd be lucky if you're using 50% of the map, at least as far as your town goes. You may well be using quite a bit more with other facilities such as hunters and things like that. But generally speaking, it is a town building game as opposed to something like a city building game where you are encompassing the whole map, sort of like, I guess, SimCity style. Anyway, let's get started. We can start building houses straight off the bat. The idea of the game is more about surviving as opposed to actually building things. Of course, building things is very important, and you have to do it, but it's more so about survival. Of course, if you don't survive, you don't have much of a town left, do you? So, as you can see up the top here, we've got professions. Everyone starts off as a labourer, and then you, as you build more sort of structures, for example, a blacksmith, you add specializations to the people. I guess the complexity of the game comes in where people start dying or dying of either old age or because of the elements or whatever, and you have to try and juggle people around. So, for example, your blacksmith might die. You may not have any labourers, which is a really bad idea of how to play the game, by the way. And you can go check out our top 10 tips to get more information about that. But needless to say, if your blacksmith dies and you don't have anyone to replace him, you don't have a blacksmith anymore. So that can cause ongoing problems. So we're going to put some builders in, and we're going to unpause it here. I'm going to actually even speed up the game. You can go to times 10, which, as you can see, is very, very fast. So our builders here will actually start building houses. Builders aren't the only thing that you need, though. You actually have to collect all the resources to build any kind of thing. So, for example, this needs 16 logs, needs 8 stone, and it needs to have all the things like the debris removed from around it in order to build it. So, as you can see, we've got our wooden houses now, and 2 people in each one have moved in. More than 2 people can actually move into a house. As you can see, this one has 4, because these 2 people who are married, of course, have 2 children. So yes, but you can have much more people sort of move in and do that. Of course, all the structures that you can build, of which there are many, are available below here. And basically, everything is interlocked, which is quite interesting indeed. For example, you need houses, obviously, to survive. You need builders to do that. You need logs, which means you need a forester to get the logs. You need, a whole plethora of other things to just to build, simple structures, which I think is great. A sort of intermingling of the structures that you need is a really cool idea. Okay, so let's build a woodcutter, and he will obviously cut wood. Got to put him right next to the stockpile there. So we'll wait on there. Now, as you can see, it's raining. That's right. The elements matter in this game. So, for example, if you look up in the top left corner here, it is currently spring. That changes, of course. It goes into winter, and that's where the game starts becoming difficult. You have to survive winters. You don't just play through them. Now, of course, food also is a very important thing. So you can build a gatherer's hut like that. You can build hunters. You can build farms. You can build all sorts of stuff, but it all sort of works in different ways. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pause the video here, and then I'm going to build up this city a little bit, and we'll show you exactly what I am talking about. All right, and we are back here with our town. Of course, it is autumn now. It's starting to get very cold. We're heading into winter, and people are starting to get hungry. It is a big problem here. We've actually had a couple of deaths. In fact, we were up to around about 16 adults in our town, and about 5 of those have actually died off. So we've got a tailor here. He creates clothes, but as you can see, he needs leather to make clothes, which means we need to build a hunter. We don't have a hunter, unfortunately, so that means the tailor cannot make clothes, which means people won't be as warm during winter and have the risk of dying. So as I said earlier, cascading effects with the buildings that you build really matters. And we've got a blacksmith here. He needs iron and logs to actually make tools. Everybody almost needs tools to do their jobs. For example, the woodcutter here, he'll need an axe, and tools break, and over time people need to get more tools and things. Because we have got a food shortage, we've got a gatherer down here. That person sort of gathers mushrooms and berries and things like that. So I've built a second one up here, and hopefully that'll remedy the situation. Of course, gatherers need a good amount of forest in which to gather. In fact, if you sort of zoom in quite close here, you can see there's mushrooms here and other bits and pieces. And there's a gatherer, in fact, and there's his little basket. So, yes, you need a good amount of forest, which means that you need to plant trees. You can't just chop trees down willy-nilly in this game. But you can plant more if you do make a mistake. So yes, as I said, people are getting hungry, as you can see by the little tooltips that are popping up here. So that is Banished in a nutshell. If you have any comments about the game, or you'd like to share your experiences, feel free to leave a comment below. Or if you'd like to know more about the game, head on over to the Gamepedia wiki, linked in the description below. This has been your host, the Pixel Pirate. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and I will see you next time.